today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Welcome to the Gridiron Show with Whitney Breaux, a weekly podcast where we celebrate the perseverance, passion, and lifestyle of women on and off the field. The Gridiron Show with Whitney Breaux is a part of the CJC Media Network.
It's Monday, March 8th, International Women's Day, and you better mark your calendar. Mark this date down in history, Abby, because it's the official launch of the Gridiron Show. We're launching. It's a premiere. It's a live. We're on the Jordy Culotta Show Instagram, or Facebook, YouTube, jordyculottashhow.com. It's the launch of the Gridiron Show with Whitney Breaux. I'm your host, Whitney Breaux, but guys, for short, you can call me Whit. That's the name that I prefer to go by. And I've got the best team in the business here joining me. Say hello to Abby Alonzo.
Hey guys, super excited to be here.
And the man behind the board, Mr. Lloyd Courtney.
Let's go. Excited to be here, dude. There's a lot of work in the making. It's exciting.
But we're here. Yeah. We're here. The day is here. And for those of you who haven't heard, the Gridiron Show is going to be a weekly podcast celebrating the perseverance, passion, and lifestyle of women on and off the field. Now, this isn't just going to be a football podcast. Don't worry, we're not going to have a board out and talk chalk talk all the time.
But we could.
But we could. We could if we want to.
And we
might,
will.
And we will a little bit. We're going to give you a little 101, but we're here to really celebrate and inspire and motivate through the personal stories of some amazing women that are breaking glass ceilings. We're going to feature their personal stories, how they're doing great things in their respective industries, the excitement, the competition, and the unity that brings us all together around the game of football and life. Every episode is going to feature a woman who has at least one thing in common, and that's grit. That's right. So help us grow this thing. We need your support. We want your support. So follow us on for the Gridiron Show. You can follow us on social media at GritIron Show, on Instagram, on Twitter. We're also on Facebook with Gridiron Show with Whitney Breaux, and on YouTube. So subscribe to the Jordy Culotta Show channel and find the Gridiron Show with Whitney Breaux and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Every like, every follow, every subscribe means the world to us and to our team. So thank you so much for being here for our launch show.
And quick shout out to Bro Body. We're repping.
Yeah, looking hot.
Got some gear on.
Shout
out to them.
Dude.
Yeah,
no, we're coming, Lloyd. We're coming.
Yeah.
We're coming.
All the swag.
No relation to me, by the way, but it looks good, right?
Ironic, but yeah,
I know,
it works. So they're going to be styling us during the off season, and Harper Kyle Boutique will be styling us during the football season. So we're set. Give them a follow at Bro Body and Shop H Kyle on Instagram.
Shout out to Bro Body, my fam up in Maryland. I made the request and they came through, so we got some more swag coming. So Lloyd, we got to get your sizes, dude, so that way we can get you all set up.
I don't look it, but I'll rock a large. You
Okay.
know, when you get up in age, you just throw that large on and don't worry about it.
Well, hey man, you'll look good in Bro Body. Trust me, I'll
right.
tell you that one. Well, today's show is absolutely special, and I'm a firm believer that whenever we put good energy out in the world, it comes back to you tenfold. And we're going to give you a little bit more about Whitney and Abby, so you know a little bit more about us and these crazy girls who love the game of football and who love sports. But it's also important to us that today you get the backstory on the Gridiron Show and how we got to today's launch. There's an angel, Karen McCord, that is guiding this journey. And today's show is dedicated to Carly, who we lost unexpectedly in December of 2019. Carly was the definition of grit, and her capacity to go after her dreams, it was unmatched. And I've never met a harder working woman than Carly. And I think we all knew that she was special and she was going to rule the world of sports journalism. So Carly's mom, Miss Karen, agreed to be here with us today. We're going to talk to her in just a minute. She's going to share a little bit more about Carly's story with you guys and with us, and maybe even some stories that we haven't heard before about our girl. I personally, I think on behalf of the Jordy Collada Show team, the GritIron Show team, we want to say a big thank you, Miss Karen, to you and to your family, to Stephen Jr. and the Insbinger family for their support as we launched the GritIron Show today, and for allowing us to honor Carly. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and we're very honored to be here.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit more. So let's see. Abby, you're next.
Yeah. Well, as you said, today is International Women's Day. And in case you were wondering what exactly that is, it's a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. This year's global theme is #ChooseToChallenge. And that's exactly what we're going to do on this podcast. Challenge the status quo and provide a platform to celebrate the perseverance, passion, and lifestyles of women on the field and off the field.
And shout out to the man that's giving women a platform. So we're so grateful to Mr. Jordy Collada and the Jordy Collada Show team for accepting our challenge to add strong female voices to the CJC Media Network. We wouldn't want to be anywhere else today than right here in the undisclosed location for our inaugural show. So as Abby said, we're going to talk about things that are meant to be today. And I can tell you, I had no idea. Less than 10 days ago when I walked into Chad Sabady's sports communications class to share a little bit more about the GritIron Show, that I would meet this amazing junior who's pursuing her dreams in the world of sports journalism. And I can tell you, Abby, from the moment I walked in the classroom, I noticed you. You were on the edge of your seat the entire hour, and your questions literally brought joy to my heart. And I'll never forget, Nick and I, after the class, I was like, that's the girl that's going to help us take the GritIron Show to the next level. So we're excited to have you, and so honored to share in this experience with you. And if you hadn't heard a little bit more about the backstory, Abby found out, actually, we hired her on Friday, and then on the following Monday, actually a week ago today, right?
Yep.
That she is the winner of the Karen McCord Memorial Scholarship for Women in Sports Journalism. So
I woke up last Monday and got the email, and I was like, are you kidding? What? How does this happen? It happened. It was just a sign that I'm in the right place.
When we're doing the right things, you just get those signs. And that was one of them that let me know that Carly is proud of what we're doing, and that people are coming together to make this thing happen. So, Abby, why don't you take a moment and tell the folks out there a little bit more about Abby Alonzo?
Well, okay, let's start. So I grew up similar to you, watching football, learning for football with my dad. They had me in sports. I mean, dancing, basketball, soccer, softball. But when I didn't have practice, I was at the ballpark holding dummies at practice and learning what a gap was and what the plays were doing. I mean, I was running sprints at practice. I had my own jersey. I was a part of the team. I never did play a game time down, but I was still a part of the team.
Heck yeah.
At one point, I told my dad, I'm going to be the first girl to play in the NFL. And
Okay.
I think I was 7. And he was like, you know what, Ab, you can do anything you put your mind to. Like, if you work hard enough, you can. Well, I was set on playing football in the NFL. Later on, probably about 11 or 12, my dad was like, look, sat me down. He was like, I want to support you in this, but realistically, men are just built different. I don't know if this is going to work out.
Maybe not upstairs up here,
No,
but yeah,
right.
certainly body-wise.
Physically, they're built different.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, now what? And I'm like, I got to do something with sports. It's like ingrained in me. And I was like, well, I'm going to do something with football. I've got to. It's a big part of how I grew up. And I was like, I'm going to be on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be as close to the game as I could possibly be without having a helmet and shoulder pads on. So I started thinking about, all right, if I'm going to sideline, what do I need to do next? I continued to play volleyball and softball all throughout high school. Won a couple state championships. Shout out Mount
No
Carmel.
big deal.
Let's go, Mount Carmel.
Couple state champs in here.
We were rolling out some volleyball state championships, and shout out to the 2017 softball Cubs. You know, we put in that work. But yeah, won a couple state championships. Got to play with Shelby Wickersham, who's a pitcher, one of my very, very good friends. Great person. Watched her grow into the pitcher she is now. But I continued to play, and that's actually how I ended up sidelining for VSN with Eric Ritchie. We were prepping for the state championship, and he interviewed me about going there, whatever, doing a player interview. And after the interview ended, he was like, have you ever thought about doing this for a living? And I was like, actually, yes, this is what I want to do. And he gave me his card, and he was like, let me know when you want to start. And I've done lacrosse, volleyball, football, basketball, just started softball. And I mean, color commentating, sideline reporting, all that jazz. They've been awesome to me. Right before I did that, actually, God, I feel like I'm talking about myself.
We want to hear it, girl.
I know. It's just weird. Right before that, in my Twitter bio, I had future ESPN sportscaster.
Of course, it's going to happen.
Speak it into existence,
yeah.
dude.
Well, look what happened, because I did that, and Darius Geis at the time, he was like the star running back here. So he DMs me and he's like, hey, do you want to interview me? And I was like, bro, time out. I don't actually like sideline yet. Like, that's what I want to do, but I really don't have experience. And he was like, no, it's okay. Like, let's do it. So we both happened to be at the Sugar Bowl in 2017. We met up. The interview is hilarious, honestly. I went back and watched it the other day, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a joke. But it prompted me to start a website called Alonzo Sports. And then after that, just the interviews started rolling in. Malachi Dupree, Cole Freeman, Cam Jordan, Marcus Davenport, Buddy Hield, like just Deuce McAllister.
Wow.
It just rolled. So then somebody in the Saints press box came across the website, and I got an email, hey, do you want to intern with us? And I was like, oh my gosh, the Saints. Like, I grew up watching them. I went to every Saints game with my dad. We've got season tickets. This is crazy. 4 years later, aside from the COVID season, I've been sitting up in the press box. I've actually sat with Fletcher Mackle, and I've seen Carly do her thing every weekend. And I remember sitting on the bar stool, the stool up in the press box. I'm like, first time I saw her, I was like, who is that? She just makes it look so easy. It's like, I need to talk to her. And I would talk to Fletcher about her. But so I got into the Saints, and then things just took off. It's crazy to think that it was only 10 days ago that you came to talk to me, because I feel like we've been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. That just tells you we've been grinding out for hours on end, especially you. But I think everything has led me up to here, ironically. And I think this is one of the best opportunities I've ever gotten, and I'm excited for what it's going to do, not just for me, but for everyone else. But enough about me. I'm really tired of talking about myself. Whitney, let's hear more about you.
Well, look, I mean, Abby, we're excited to have you here. And let me tell you, the Gridiron Show is, I promise you, a stepping stone for bigger and better things that are coming your way. So keep grinding, keep hustling. We're excited to have you as a part of this team. And the story will continue. Now, I'm going to try not to talk too much about me, but we both committed to ourselves that this would be the episode where we tell people who we are, and then we never have to talk about it.
We don't have to do it again.
Get it out now. Oh, goodness. Well, let me start with the fact of the most important job that I have, which is being a mom. So I have a 12-year-old sixth grader who's a multi-sport athlete. I am a proud boy mom. I mean, we're running between baseball, basketball, soccer, and I don't know how we even find our way through it all. But he's my everything. He's my motivation. He's the guy that helps me to put 2 feet on the ground every morning and say, I'm going to show you what mom loves to do, and I'm going to teach you what it means to follow your dreams and to follow your passion. But during the work day, I actually have a day job, but I'm on vacation today, just in case anybody's wondering or my colleagues are watching. This is a vacation day from work, but I'm actually a global marketing leader in corporate America, and I've been working for a company now for 10 plus years, have had tremendous opportunities to travel the world, to build brands. And I think that's something I really closely identify with, is I'm a creative, I'm a builder. I like to even call myself sometimes an elevator. I'm an elevator of people and ideas, and I enjoy taking taking people and ideas to the next level. And that's what I'm hoping to do with the Gridiron Show. I'm a Baton Rouge native as well, a graduate of Baton Rouge High. I like to throw that in there. Shout out to East Baton Rouge Parish Public Schools, and a 2-time graduate of LSU. So Manship School, let's go Manship.
Heck yeah.
Always go
Must be
Manship.
nice.
Hey, come on, Lloyd. And then for whatever reason, I thought it was like a great idea with a newborn baby to go and get my MBA from LSU as well. But it also helped me to get an extra 2 seasons of student football tickets.
Now we're
on to the real reason why that happened.
There was an ulterior motive.
It's called a red shirt year. I took it.
You know, and I should, if I had known any better, I probably would have done the 6-year undergrad plan. But no, I was in a rush to get out, on time and all of that. But shout out to the Manship School. They've been extremely supportive of this endeavor. And also of me and my son, as I actually had Jason the fall of my senior year. So they were supportive in making sure I finished school on time, and I'm forever grateful to them for that. But in March of 2020, it's crazy to think it's almost been a year for me. But my world was turned upside down. When I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer last year at age 32. And when I tell you it was a shock to my system and to my world, my doctors actually thought that my cancer had been growing for at least a year. I wasn't performing self-breast exams. It wasn't something that was on my radar. I was more focused on what country was I going to be traveling to next. I was doing I had perfected work conference calls in the shower with my AirPods and paying no attention to anything else. But needless to say, self-care was not my strength. And honestly, when I got diagnosed, I was angry and I was pissed off about my diagnosis because I like to pride myself in someone that thinks through anything that could come your way. But this one wasn't on my radar, wasn't even something that I thought was possible in my lifetime. And what I learned in this process was that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 8. And that number is a lot bigger than I even thought. And in response to my diagnosis, some of you may have heard about Day 18 campaign. And that's where I took out my anger and my frustration about being diagnosed with cancer was in creating Day 18 campaign, which is all about encouraging women, and especially those under 40, to perform self-breast exams on the 18th day of each month. Now, there's also an LSU football tie to that. I mean, I threw in the 18 because I thought that, one day we're going to do something really cool with LSU football and maybe some of the former 18s in order to really bring awareness to it. I mean, like I said, I was 32. You can't even get a mammogram until you're 40 these days. And, performing self-breast exams for so many women will be the thing that can save your life. I mean, I was in a situation where my cancer was so advanced and so progressed that we were potentially on the verge of looking at this thing being a completely different situation. So I am extremely grateful to the staff at Our Lady of the Lake, Mary Bird Perkins and Women's Hospital, Breast and GYN Cancer Pavilion. They've now teamed up with Day 18, along with Mary Bird Perkins, Women's Hospital, and Louisiana Cancer Prevention. So we're going to be philanthropic here on the Gridiron Show. Day 18, you're going to hear a lot about it on the 18th day of each month, along with our special appearances on the Jordy Collada Show each month. That's important for the story that we're telling. And it has led me to the point where I said, hey, I can't continue to sit on the sidelines. Tomorrow's not promised to us. And so to even be here today, I was even thinking about on the drive over here, if tomorrow wasn't to happen, man, I am so glad about March 8th and what we accomplished here with the launch of the Gridiron Show. But Abby, you talked a little bit about football, and I mean, cancer and work are certainly a part of my story, but football, man, that's a special place in my heart. And for me, it started with my dad too. He took me to Southern University football games as a little girl. He's an interesting, I love my dad, but he's one of a kind. But he would pick me up so he didn't have to buy me a ticket to the game. So he'd walk me to the turnstile.
Ultimate dad move.
Dad move. Don't worry about it, right? And what was great about it is he didn't just, want me to, watch the cheerleaders or to, watch the band, the Human Jukebox, which is amazing, or the infamous Dancing Dolls. But he taught me the game. I mean, he taught me, what's a running back, what's a quarterback, what's a defensive back, what's a safety. He taught taught me the basic schemes and penalties that come along with the game. So I started to pick up, I think at an early age, that football is a lot about strategy. And I think I've applied a lot of that into what I do at work and in business. And no offense to the 3 brothers that I do have, but Dad still calls me his favorite son, which is very, very true. And he loves to text me during games. He's like, "Oh my gosh, did you see this?" And I'm like, "Dad, they're running a 4-3 instead of a 3-4. What do you expect? The 3-tech isn't working. What are we going to change up?" So, I mean, it can
There's
get
a lot of that this year,
it's a
too.
lot. Oh, come on, Durante Jones. I have
I know, we
faith
got
in you,
faith.
my friend.
It
Let's
can't
go.
be worse.
A violent defense. Oh, that one got to my spirit. I loved that one. But being from Baton Rouge, I've had a front row seat to some of the glory years of Baton Rouge football. So to see Southern and LSU in 2003 win their respective national college football championships, I mean, that parade downtown and that coming together of this city was unlike anything I think we've still yet to see. But it was just, I mean, it was an incredible, incredible day. I remember 2007. Now, this was the great part about being in college in the in the 2000s. But 4th and goal in the Florida game, Demetrius Byrd versus Auburn. You can't see me. I'll never forget USC losing to Stanford. Anthony Kimball was playing at Stanford at the time, so all the Baton Rouge kids in the student section was like, "Kimball's making it happen for us to be number 1." I even remember Brad Wing taunting at the goal line. I was there for that one. And then, of course, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, taking everything he wanted, both on defense and in special teams, But after my cancer diagnosis last year, tasting the sweet taste of victory on January 13th, 2020 with the best LSU football team ever, let me tell you, they helped me. They helped me fight through what turned out to be an insane 2020. 6 rounds of chemotherapy. I've now had a double mastectomy. I've undergone 30 rounds of radiation. And I've got a few more infusions left to go.
What's a couple more?
What's a couple more to throw in there? I think I'm done on tax day, April 15th. It's going to be over, which is going to be crazy.
There you go.
And then a reconstructive surgery this summer. But any day that I've had a struggle, I turn on an LSU hype video by the infamous Will Stout, and let me tell you, I'm like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do it. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride, but I hope to bring everything that I've learned in this, not only this cancer journey experience, but throughout life, to what we're doing on the GritIron Show. And I want to say a big thank you to my friends, family, my colleagues, and there are so many people that I've never even met that have reached out with prayers, words of encouragement. As I like to say, Wit's fighting like a tiger, and we're going to fight like a tiger here on the GritIron Show as well. So we're looking forward to it.
Okay. So, wow, you sound like a real superhero. I'm not kidding. How do you balance everything that's thrown at you?
I don't sleep too much, but I did sleep good last night, actually, which was awesome.
Yeah, you did.
I did sleep. I sure did. Good stuff to get there.
Nervous.
Lloyd texts me, and I'm like, I wasn't awake, dude. Sorry. But I caught you at 5:50.
Made me look good, though. He's working hard.
Working hard all the time. But, to be honest, I would say I compartmentalize, but I also prioritize. And I have worked with a life coach for the last 3 years that has been amazing in helping me to take better care of myself. But also, this morning, I got up, I did my daily meditation, I went through my routine. And so I'm able to give my all to each facet of life by saying, you know what, right now, this is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm zeroed in on. And then I'm able to, move through it and move to the next thing. So it's awesome.
How do you not get burnt out, though? Because how do you constantly just give 100% to everything, which you do?
It's
I just
unbelievable.
don't know how you don't get burnt out.
I would say, and I used to, and I'm very honest about this. I used to get burnt out all the time. I could go for 6 months nonstop, and then I'd hit that wall and I'd crash. But like I said, a lot of it now is all about self-care, and it's about being present and in the moment for whatever is in front of you, today, and be focused on today. Tomorrow is going to come. Those challenges are going to exist. but be here right now with, you, Abby, with Miss Karen, with this amazing team. It's about being present. And so, we'll keep it going. And each and every Monday, we're going to be present with a new episode of the GritIron Show, including some amazing guests that we're talking to. But now that we've given folks a little bit of our life story, we'll never have to do that again, which we're really excited about. But you've heard us mention that the GritIron Show has an angel that's guiding and inspiring us each and every day. And the story goes a little something like this. And I, again, want to get this out on tape so that way it is forever ingrained in what we do. But Jordy and I have been friends for a long time. And I called him up about 2 years ago and I said, dude, I've got an idea, about a podcast or a women's football talk show hosted by two former pageant queens. I had seen Carly doing her thing. I had seen her everywhere. She was killing the game. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be fun to have a show called Gridiron Queens? Like a little play on Gridiron and the pageant girl deal. Well, I'm a former Miss Teen Louisiana, and Carly had been a 3-time first runner-up to the Miss Louisiana title, and I had helped to prep her one year whenever she was Miss Baton Rouge. And we both loved football, but we loved so much more. And it was Carly who even convinced me to get Botox for the first time. And now I am every 3 months, if there's a sponsor out there who wants to sponsor our Botox, we'll talk about that as well. But the truth is, I never got the chance to really sit down and talk with Carly about the idea of the GritIron Show. And when we got the news in Atlanta, I texted Jordy and said, dude, is this true? And, my heart sank when I got that response. And my best friend and a former Miss LSU, Liz Dunn, and I, we were at the game, and inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, we couldn't even watch the game, to be honest. I think a lot of people felt that same way. And there's a mutual respect that exists among former pageant girls who excel at life beyond the crown, because the crown isn't everything. It's a stepping stone to what we want to do and where we want to go. And like I said, I think we all knew that Carly was destined for greatness. And one night in December, after being burnt to a crisp in radiation, I'm laid on my bed on my back because I can't move. And I saw the video that Northwestern State put together featuring the McCord and Ensminger family and Jordy, Matt Moscona. And that night, I feel like she came to me, and I cried because it was a reminder of just how amazing she was and her passions and the things that we all saw in her. And I made a donation to her scholarship fund that night, and I think that was the start of what and how we got here today. And that's why, for me, making sure that she is a part of this journey, that she's a part of this story, is critically important for me. I feel like she's been motivating me to get off the sideline and to get in the game, get in the arena with the GritIron Show. And it only felt right and authentic to ensure that Carly is here with us today. So Miss Karen is with us. When we come back, we're going to get set and ready to roll because we're celebrating Carly today. It's International Women's Day. We're glad that Miss Karen is here and that all of you guys are locked into the GritIron Show. So take a second to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And in just a moment, we'll be right back. And we're going to talk with Miss Karen McCord, Carly's mom. It's the GritIron Show with Whitney Breaux. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's no secret what we got going over here at the Jordy Collada Show. We're trying to disrupt how media and advertising moves forward. My friend of over 35 years, Barrett Blondo, is doing the same thing for real estate with his new company, Falaya. I met with him in his own personal undisclosed location, and I got to see firsthand what Falaya has been doing and what he's been working on. It blew my mind, man. They are putting all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. For more information, give my guy Barrett Blondo a call today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Collada Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays, which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers. All over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at rmb-builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com. Welcome to the GritIron Show with Whitney Breaux, a weekly podcast where we celebrate the perseverance, passion, and lifestyle of women on and off the field. The GritIron Show with Whitney Breaux is a part of the CJC Media Network.
We're back on the GritIron Show. Welcome back. Thanks so much again for tuning in to our inaugural launch of the GritIron Show. I'm your host, Whitney Breaux, alongside Abby Alonzo and Mr. Lloyd Courtney behind the board. And it's International Women's Day. It's a huge day around the world celebrating amazing, amazing women. And we couldn't be more proud to dedicate our first show to a woman that had a grit like nobody else. And her mom is here to join us today. Thank you, Miss Karen, for being here with us. Welcome to the GritIron Show.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor.
Let's go.
It's an honor.
Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes and allowing us to honor Carly today.
There was no other answer.
Well,
no other answer.
And as I'll never forget when you and I got together, or we talked for the first time about this idea. You were on a walk in your neighborhood and you found something and you sent me some pictures. Tell everybody why we know this is all meant to be.
Okay, this is the craziest thing. We're sitting on the phone and we're talking about everything and about the podcast and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden I said, Whitney, stay with me. This is the craziest thing in the world, but just stay with me. And all of a sudden, feathers started to fall from the sky. I am talking white feathers. No birds around me, no flock of geese, no anything, just feathers. And I'm like, Whitney, it's raining feathers. But the craziest thing is that feathers, when my dad died, he would always say, it was this book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and it was always about feathers and Richard Bach and illusion, and it focused on feathers. And he said, when I go to heaven, I'm going to give you signs in feathers. And so all of a sudden, Whitney is talking to me about this, and feathers are flying all over the place. So I'm taking pictures so that she doesn't think I'm lying or I'm crazy. And you know, and the dog is like, what are you doing? And I'm taking pictures, and I said, Whitney, look at this. There are white feathers everywhere. My dad is blessing you and Jordy Collada, because I don't know if you know this or not, but Jordy is a relative of ours. My dad was Joe Collada. He was on the radio for 27 years at WTIX, and Jordy was in the business, is in the business. Carly, of course, is in the business. I actually worked for WRKF a long, long, long time ago, and my husband was in the business, and I think we have a few other cousins who are in the radio business. No one got each other the job. It's just something that runs in our family. And so, Jordy, I guess the feathers were for you as well.
We're on a roll here at the CJC Media Network. Good stuff all around. So. And Miss Karen, you mentioned that it's, the family has had some experience with a microphone all around. I mean, when Carly was growing up, was there a moment where you knew that she was going to gravitate to the microphone like other members of the family? Like, is there a moment that stands out to you where you're like, oh my gosh, here we go, the girl's going to have a mic in her hand?
Yep, it was called birth. Yes, it really was. It was called birth. And I truly mean that. I mean that. Carly was actually in plays when she was a little girl, and she never had to audition. They would call her.
Oh, yeah.
LSU Theater would come and look at her. Carly was born with impeccable timing. And that is the truth. That was really her skill. She was a master at the game at birth. And, she would cry on cue. She would laugh on cue. She would do everything. But she had a feel for that timing. And I think it goes back to maybe our family. We must have that gene somewhere along the line because timing is always in our family.
That's awesome. Yeah. And, I was mentioning earlier that this idea started about, Gridiron Queens, the idea of two pageant girls kind of coming together. And, I know that Carly wasn't always a pageant girl and it was not like her thing. Nope. But speaking about timing, I mean, how did she end up like in the pageant world and eventually being crowned Miss Northwestern Lady of the Bracelet?
Okay, there is a story behind that. Carly was never one to chase the crown. I don't know if she even knew the crown existed, to be honest with you. And it was the last day of high school. She and Kaylee decided to go ahead and drive to Biloxi and skip school. And so she skipped her choir class. She was supposed to sing at church. And she skipped the choir class. And so she got a C in choir. And consequently, it allowed her to not receive tops. Whoa. Now, she could have done better in geometry as well, but she didn't. And so she got a C. And so she didn't tell me. And so I'm at the graduation looking, for her name with top scholarship on it, and it wasn't there. And she goes, oh, by the way, Mom, I skipped school, and we went to Biloxi. And so I said, oh, that's really nice. You didn't get your tops. So how are you going to pay for your college now? And she looked, and so we laughed. And so then about 6 months later, she comes up to us. She had a little time to figure it out. Not even, probably 6 months. We'll give or take a few minutes. And she said, Mom, I've got this great idea on how I'm going to get my tops money. And I'm like, money to replace that tops money. And I said, and what is that idea? And she said, well, there's this thing called the Lady of the Bracelet at Northwestern State University. And that's where she went, and plugs to Northwestern State, go Demons, and go Tigers.
Absolutely.
I graduated from there. But, and so she said, if I win first runner-up, I'm going to get a free semester. If I win second runner-up, I'm going to get a free semester. And so she had it that for the 4 years, all she had to do was win first or second runner-up. Perfect. So, and then, if you win, you get a whole year's tuition completely paid from room and board to whatever. And so anyways, so she had this all pegged. Well, the first year she got second runner-up, and she goes, good enough, good enough. This is all I need. And then the next year she tried out for Lady of the Bracelet. She gets there, and she walks, she's got that swimsuit walk that's just kind of flailing arms and legs and that sort of thing, and she's got this gown on, that she's just like, yeah, here I am, world. And then, but then she had to sing. That was her talent. Yes. And she sang "Don't Rain on My Parade," and she was just on fire. And of course, there was interview, which she was always superb at. And so she went ahead and she knocked the socks out of the people. Well, when they crowned her the winner, it was like everybody said, "How did she win?" Because her walk was clumsy, and everybody goes, "How did she win?" And all of us in the front row going, "Yeah, how did we win this?" Oh my gosh, Carly's a pageant girl. And, I've got to say that pageants for Carly was like finishing school.
Yeah.
It kind of put that refinement of her walk in there, because she always had the talk and she always had the talent. But she learned how to walk in a swimsuit and she learned how to walk in an evening gown like a lady. Did she like pageants? Yes. Did she love pageants? No. And that really is a thing,
Absolutely.
And there were rumors. I never saw it, but there were rumors that the last pageant, and by then Michael Lombardi had called her and asked her, offered her the job and everything. But somebody said that she flipped the bird to the judges when they didn't choose her. But I don't believe that was
I'd have to
true.
see real tape. I'd have to see the tape. I'd have to see the tape.
But those Vori boards and and the message boards and
What do they know?
Where
are they now?
Where are they now?
Let me go ahead and say that out loud.
Some mom probably made that up because
Sure
Carly
did.
wouldn't do that.
Not at all.
Not at all.
But Carly was one of very few women to ever compete. I mean, just in pageants in general, to be in the top 2 3 times.
Actually, I hate to correct you.
Oh, go ahead.
2
times. Well, I mean, twice is even
a
lot. I mean, what do you think she learned about grit or perseverance in continuing to go back and to try again and to fight for what she wanted?
Right. I think rejection was good for Carly because rejection taught her to go back and fight. Also, I do want to say it taught her work ethic. Now, she always had work ethic.
Sure.
I don't mean pageants. I can't give them the full credit of that. However, she outworked everyone in the pageant world, in schooling, not in high school. That's she was there. But she did. She outworked everybody, and she knew how to outwork everybody. And, interestingly enough, Carly never played sports.
Really?
No, Carly didn't like sports. Carly was a cheerleader, and we would watch her on the sideline, and a football game would happen, and they'd go 1st and 10, do it again, and she'd go, "No, that's not the cheer you want to do. We're on defense." And so Carly did not know football. Carly came into football later in life. But when she came into football and basketball and baseball and volleyball and soccer, she outworked everybody. And it was really interesting because everybody thinks Carly was a broadcaster. Everybody thinks Carly was a person who was like an Erin Andrews. But that's not really the case. Well, it is the case.
Right.
But Carly actually graduated in criminal justice and minored in Spanish. And she met Michael Lombardi. She was at Tiger Television. And how she met Michael Lombardi was an interesting thing as well. I don't know if I told you this or not. But she was standing on the sideline with Tiger Television, and she got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get her spot.
Yep.
And here was Michael Lombardi coming in to recruit, or I don't know if it was recruit, but look for their draft picks and that sort of thing. And he was looking for the draft pick of Barkevius Mingo. And so he was standing on the sideline, and she was, and he goes, "Excuse me, this is my spot." And she goes, "Excuse me, I was here at 5 o'clock.
Yes,
this is my
Yes,
spot."
ma'am.
Move.
And so all of a sudden, Michael Lombardi said, "Here goes, I like your spunk, kid. He says, do you know who I am? She goes, I don't care who you are. And then, of course, Michael Lombardi was the GM at Cleveland Browns. Well, they talked, and they did interviews and that sort of thing. But interestingly enough, Carly went to the Cleveland Browns as a scout, as a character scout.
Ooh.
And she was going to be the in-house media person, but she was a character scout. She worked undercover. And that was Carly's degree, was criminal justice. And she was amazing at it. And she would go to spring breaks. She'd go on spring breaks. She'd go in bars. She would go into places, and she would actually scout these players out. And for anybody out there that thinks that your character doesn't count, it does. Because if they're going to invest that much money in you, they want to know if you're a good deal or not. Interestingly enough, when Michael Lombardi was let go at the end of the season, and Michael Lombardi was let go at the end of the season, and Ray Farmer took over, they let the whole staff go. And so Carly was let go because they cleaned house, as they say. And she always told the story of, she looked at Ray Farmer and she said, Ray, there's one thing you need to know. Do not choose Johnny Manziel.
Wow.
And Michael Lombardi would confirm that, and so would Ray Farmer, I'm sure. And he said, what? And he goes, don't do it, Johnny Manziel. Well, they didn't listen to her. That's, the rest is history.
Yes, it is.
So she, where Abby says your dad wanted to be the first person in the NFL, Carly was, I don't know if there was another female scout. I just don't know if there was another female scout, or if there was any other female that worked in that kind of capacity. Right. Now there might be, because it was kind of a thing that she and Michael Lombardi
really started.
And so, but by then she really, really, really knew the game. And she, like I said, she outworked everybody with her ethics, her morals, her knowledge of the game, her timing of the game. You know how you were saying that you called and Whitney was sleeping for the first time in probably 100 years. That would be Carly.
Yeah.
Fletcher, Mackle, WDSU, and Carly would have conversations, or Matt Moscona, or Jordy Collada, or any of these people. Carly would text them at 2 a.m. and they would think nothing of it.
Yeah. Outwork the competition. And Abby, being a student at LSU, pursuing her dreams, and now the winner of the Carly McCord scholarship, we're going to get you to outwork the competition each and every day, girl.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah. And, I have a question. As I've said, that's what I'm aspiring to do. What piece of advice do you think Carly would give me if she were here right now?
To outwork the competition.
That's it?
Most definitely, because there are, as you know, there are hundreds of girls saying, what do you want to do in life? I want to be a sports broadcaster. Right. Really? Do you really want to move to Cleveland? And do you have a mom that will allow you to move to Cleveland? I just wonder why God gave me that grace to let her go to Cleveland. I mean, not that I'm putting Cleveland down, but Cleveland, Ohio, and I went with her, drove with her. We knew no one there. I mean, no one. And the only time I saw Carly just a little bit afraid, I mean, just a twinge of afraid, she goes, Mom, when I got on the plane, and I left her in Cleveland, and I got on the plane, and she goes, okay. And I kissed her goodbye, and I hugged her, and I said, I love you. And tears were running down my eyes. Well, 2 weeks later goes by. The only number I have is Michael Lombardi. That is like having Mickey Loomis's number and the New Orleans Saints. I get a phone call from this guy named Armand. I don't know who Armand is. We have no idea. And he goes, are you Carly McCord's mom? And I'm like, yes. Why are you calling me on her telephone? Because she left it at a gas station. And I'm like, my gosh.
The phone.
She left the phone. Somebody stole my daughter. Okay, I am panicked at this time. I called my husband, Tracy, and I said, Tracy, what are we going to do? He said, whose number do you have? Michael Lombardi. So I picked up the phone, and I called Michael Lombardi. I said, Michael? We were on the first name basis.
Oh, yeah.
Point. Never met him, but, Michael, this is Karen McCord. And you've hired my daughter, Carly McCord. Her phone is at a gas station. In Mr. Armand's hand was nice enough to call me about this. And could you please tell me if she is at work? And
Track
if
her
so,
down.
call me back immediately. So anyway, she goes there and she realizes her phone is gone. And she gets on some phone and calls me back. And she goes, Mom, you don't understand. You don't call Michael Lombardi to ask me if you are at work. I said, no, young lady, you don't understand. I will pick up the phone and call God himself if I have to. But Michael Lombardi is going to get a phone call every time.
Yes.
You leave your phone in a gas station. So, so to your question, Abby, you have to outwork the competition. You have to be willing to accept a job in the smallest of cities. And the biggest thing is, Abby, is you have to accept that you are not going to make lots of money. Carly started that job with $24,000 a year. You try living in Cleveland for $24,000 a year. When she told me she found her roommate on Craigslist, that is a whole nother story. But you don't make a lot of money at this. Carly was just on the precipice of really the big time. She had signed on at the NFL Network, and she was finally going to get a really good size job. That was the first time she was going to have to not work 8 jobs to make not a living, because she was married, of course, at that time. But you don't make a lot of money. And everybody thinks you do. And you have to be willing to move. And you have to be willing to move wherever the job takes you.
Outwork the competition.
Yeah, outwork the competition.
And Miss Karen, we're hoping to keep Abby for as long as we can
I'm
until
not going
until
anywhere.
that next opportunity hits the ceiling. But Miss Karen, we really do. We feel so honored that you were here today with us. Like I said, I mean, I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for saying yes. It just felt right that we started this experience and this journey with Carly with us. And we're going to do a fundraiser every year for the Carly McCord Scholarship for young women pursuing sports journalism. Abby, of course, is one of this year's winners. And we're going to share more about, can you share a little bit more about the scholarship? And if people want to contribute, where they can do that?
Yes, I do. You could go to Northwestern State University. They have a website, and it's Women in Sports. And you can actually donate there. We so would appreciate that. We also do have there is also a scholarship at St. Michael's High School. And so if you're a St. Michael's High School supporter, there, and they give 2 scholarships a year for seniors. So that is a big deal. And then, of course, LAB. Where you've received. We don't have, that's not Carly's foundation per se. But I do want to say there is a personal foundation that we have, and it's called Carly's Little Angels.
Yes.
And Kaylee started it.
Yes.
And Kaylee is Carly's sister, and she has a clothing company, a children's clothing company called Little Luann. And real quickly, how it got started is that Carly always loved Matt Moscona's son, Drew. And as everybody probably knows in this audience, Drew has a heart condition. And and they have lots and lots and lots of medical bills. It's that they have to come out of pocket for. And so Carly always said, I want to do something for Drew, and I want to make a difference in his life. And so interestingly enough, she started this clothing line called Little Rainbows. And so if you would like to purchase something from Little Luann's, Carly's Little Angels, it's the Rainbow Collection. And we're almost ready to launch the second one. Wow. And this year's monies are going to go to a different family. And Matt and Erica Moscona is going to choose that family.
Amazing.
So it is. And then, of course, just to throw in, this weekend is Miss LSU.
Oh, yes.
And yes, and interestingly enough, Carly is Miss 2020 honorary Miss LSU. So if everybody wants to tune in to that, they can do that. And I don't know how to get tickets for that.
We will find out from the Delta Zetas at LSU, and we'll publish that. We'll also tweet out plenty of links and information for how you can look into the Rainbow Collection in order to make a purchase and support the Carly McCord Foundation, and then also St. Michael's and Northwestern, and so many incredible groups of people have come out to really honor Carly, and we're just lucky and feel blessed that we had the opportunity to do that here today with you, Miss Karen. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome so much. And real quickly, I have something for you guys. This is for the launch of your show. Yay. You might have seen these.
Yes.
These are the rocks that are at her gravesite. There's a lady, Luann Vaccaro, and she actually paints them. Wow. And she leaves them there for me, and she goes, give them to people who you feel that would most appreciate the rainbow. So there are your rainbow rocks.
We got rainbow
You
rocks.
might have seen them there.
I did. I saw them yesterday whenever I visited her, and left her a note just to say, that I hope that she's proud of what we're doing, and that that she continues to bless us on this journey. So thank you again, Miss Karen, for being here. We're so happy to have you. And Abby, I'm thinking let's keep rolling as we wrap up today's show. We've made history, obviously, for the first time, the GritIron Show. We've gone live. We've been on YouTube, Facebook. Our podcast is going to be loaded. The video from today will be loaded on the GritIron Show with Whitney Breaux on our YouTube channel. But today is International Women's Day, and so we want to recognize just a couple of highlights. Maybe Lord, give us a little mood music in order to keep us going here. But a couple of highlights for women that have been doing some amazing things in sports. So Abby, what you got for us?
Well, this list is impeccable.
Give us some of your favorites that are on there. Maybe your top
So
5.
history was made.
Yes.
For the first time in the history of women's conference tournament finals, 2 black head coaches faced off in the title game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. The SEC tournament pitted number 2 seed South Carolina by head coach Dawn Staley, and then 4 seed Georgia by Joni Taylor.
Wow. And I think South Carolina won that game.
Yes, they did.
They're on a roll, rocking and rolling. All right, who else you got breaking this glass ceiling?
Sarah Fuller.
Sarah Fuller, Vandy.
I was so mad at my mom. I said, that could have been me if you that could have been me.
Kicking
Look
field
what
goals, and she did it. She made it happen. Commodores come through.
Yeah, Nicole Lynn, a sports agent with a top 5 NFL pick.
Let me tell you, Young Money Sports is hot.
Yep. Yeah,
Nicole Lynn, if you're watching, I am DMing you on every platform known to man. Please come on the GritIron Show. We'd love to have you on. We want to talk to you. We'll clip that and send that to her.
And of course, you got to shout out Lori Locust and Meryl Javid. I'm going to mess this up. I'm so sorry. Javidafar. Both work for the Bucks, and they both just won a Super Bowl.
First female coaches to win a Super Bowl. What? Shout out Coach Lowe. I've also been in your DMs a lot, and I appreciate you for responding to me. But whenever you get time, we'd love to have you on the GritIron Show.
Absolutely. Amy Trask, first female CEO of an NFL team, 97 Raiders. Sarah Thomas, the first NFL female referee and the first female to ref a Super Bowl.
She sure did did a great job.
Oh, did she?
The respect from all of the coaches, the players, they know that she is well on her way. And the NFL just added another woman to their lineup for as referees. So lots of, I mean, this is International Women's Day, but women have been doing some great things, certainly in and around the game of football in the last year. And we're looking forward to celebrating even more.
Yeah, that list is growing.
First, that list is growing. And like I said, we're going to clip that, and we're going to be using that to help us pitch some future guests for the GritIron Show. So certainly you want to stay tuned. But as Abby and everybody has mentioned, we've been busy working extremely hard to bring you the best content, the best interviews right here on the GritIron Show. But we want to hear from you. If you've got any story ideas, segment ideas, interview guests that you want to hear from, or ideas on how we can improve, how we can get better, we're all about getting 1% better each and every day. So let us know. You can find us on social media at GritIron Show. You can also email us, thegritironshow@gmail.com. Today's show will also be available on our YouTube channel, GritIron Show with Whitney Breaux. So be sure that you subscribe, and coming soon to all podcasting platforms near you, including Apple, Podbean, Spotify, all of it. We're going to get the GritIron Show loaded. And every Monday, you're going to be able to catch a new episode premiering of the GritIron Show, including this coming Monday. So if you want to find out, though, who our next guest, Miss Karen was our first guest, our second episode, which will go live on March 15th. Tune in to the Jordy Culotta Show on Wednesdays for our Women Crush Wednesday, where we're going to preview our next episode and also shout out some amazing women that are doing great things. So if you believe in what we're doing on the GritIron Show, and if you loved our first episode here today and you want to sponsor, we need a champagne sponsor, because Abby and I, we love champagne.
Oh, yes.
And if we can't get the big one, we'll take a champagne sponsor of any type. But if you love what we're doing and you want to support us, please feel free to reach out to Katie at jordyculotta.show.com. That's Katie at jordyculotta.show.com. We're looking for sponsors to help us take this thing to the next level and make it all happen. Woo! March 8th. Let it simmer for a second. March 8th. For Abby, Lloyd, myself, Miss Karen, the entire Jordy Culotta Show team, thank you for tuning into the first ever GritIron Show. Happy International Women's Day, everybody. We'll see you next time. Let's pop a bottle. Oh, there's literally a bottle that we can't label show, but we're going to pop a bottle. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.